Hey there, folks. I'm High Times with Ty, and welcome to my forever world. If this is your first time here, welcome to the chaos. This series is all about tinkering with Create, building big and probably biting off more than I can chew. And if you've been here before, welcome back to Tinkering with Create. Last time we finished the upstairs, for now, threw together a bamboo processing plant, and oh yeah, strapped a jetpack to my back. Totally safe. Don't worry about it. But this episode, we're thinking big. I've been planning out a brand new project, an entire factory dedicated to sifting. That's right, a whole building just for running gravel and sand through sifters to pull out rare metals and gems. It's basically Minecraft's biggest slot machine. You feed it gravel, pull a lever, and sometimes you win diamonds. Other times, well, mostly other times you get flint. Yeah, flint. But we'll probably have a use for that at some point. This factory is going to be way too big to squeeze into this starter workshop. I've been looking around and I have a few spaces here and there. Like I have this spot here, and then if I come up here, I have a spot like right here. But other than that, I have no more space. So I guess it's going to be getting its own spot here in the village. Today's goal is to start prepping resources, laying the groundwork, and maybe even get some sifting up and running. But of course, there is one issue. Power. These 3 windmills are working harder than a hamster on an energy drink. And a sifting factory, that would probably snap them in half like a breadstick. But we'll have to figure that out soon enough, but not right now. Alright, let's go ahead and get, whoa. What was that? Hang on. Okay. No wandering traders. No creepers. Just a book. This feels a little ominous. Let's read it. For the people. Oh. To whom they call High Times with Ty. We have watched your progress. This land is strong, full of promise, and our people will come. I'm trying to read a book. Maybe I should take the book and we will we'll just go inside. All right. But first, a truth. Your windmills are too small. Hey, what? I know I was just talking about the windmills being too small. And, you know, almost breaking like a stale breadstick. But, I don't like you, book. They cannot power what must be built. Beneath your feet lies endless fire, an infinite lava source greater than itself. The Nether has but one purpose, blaze. Their fire still burns hottest of all. A hint for you. Spawners can move, minecarts and contraptions carry. Even the immovable. Here are the coordinates. X -581, Z -287. Build an elevator, claim the fire, harness it. With this power, our people will thrive. Do not fail us. The folk of the future village. P.S. We left you a checklist with everything you need. Hold on. Sleep is important. It's dark out. I don't want to die. Well, this is a first. My plans just got completely ruined. I was supposed to be working on a sifting factory today, and now I'm apparently in charge of building an elevator straight into lava country for villagers that don't even live here yet. And apparently my majestic windmills are just not just toys. Rude. I mean, look at them. They've been carrying the entire base. They don't deserve this slander. And here's the thing. I already did have plans to upgrading power. The idea was set up another portal and a full belt system to haul lava buckets back and forth. Very very industrial, very, very time consuming. It would have worked, but it would have taken me ages to get all the belts, the spouts, and portal mechanics set up. Basically, I was about to start my own lava shipping company, but the villagers, turns out they've been sitting on a secret, infinite lava, right beneath my feet. The land I picked is literally a bottomless furnace. I had no idea. So instead of becoming another UPS driver, I guess I'm an elevator operator now. Time to fast track this power plant, build and see what's cooking below. Alright, good thing I've already been working on a design. I was planning to build it in a few episodes from now, but hey, the villagers forced my hand. Since I've got most of the materials stockpiled, we're just gonna schematic cannon the power plant shell into its place. While it builds itself, I'll be out gathering the guts to the system, the pumps, the pipes, the gearboxes, and the crate spaghetti needed to make this thing actually work. Because nothing says Minecraft engineering genius like blasting an entire building into existence while sprinting around collecting lava plumbing. Let's do this. While the schematic cannon is busy printing out the power station piece by piece, I've got my own job to do, gathering all the plumbing parts that are going to be making this monster actually run. It's kind of surreal watching a whole factory rise up in the ground while I'm running around with the brass pipes. Brass and pipes, sorry. But that's the correct way. Chaos, multitasking, and way too many moving parts. First on the list is steam engines. I've already crafted enough for full 2 level 9 boilers, which, by the way, is insane power. That's hundreds of thousands of stress units before we even talk about expansions. And remember, this building is going to be designed to house 4 boilers. 2 for now, 2 later, because apparently I like leaving room for my future self to suffer. Next up is the fun stuff. This is all thanks to Create Factory Logistics, a new mod that lets you do absolutely bonkers things with fluids. Instead of just pipes, you can now send lava across the floor on chain conveyors. That's right, lava on chains. Why? I have no idea. Do I love it? Absolutely. And that's where the frog ports and the bottlers come in. The bottlers are the real MVPs. They pack the lava in the jars, ship them across, and when the jars get used, they just vanish like little lava cardboard boxes. Free, clean, no extra mess. Way better than juggling buckets with arms and spouts. But of course, nothing in Create comes cheap. To make bottlers, you need fluid mechanisms. And these things eat up gold ingots and pipes like no other. You think you need 10? No, you need 50. You make 50, suddenly you need 100, and then it's a tax on my sanity, and I just sit there mocking me. While I'm crying over crafting tables, the cannon is out there casually slapping down a roof like there's like a big deal. Teamwork, right? Now, this one's optional, but come on, it's me. We're making fluid factory gauges. But if you can't stand in front of your machines, stare at a dial, and nod seriously like you understand what's happening, what's even the point? These are purely for looks, and to make the whole station feel like a real industrial control room. And finally, the classic pipes, pumps, and hose pulleys. These are the bread and butter of Create Plumbing. These are the actual things that tie everything together. The hose pulley is going to reach all the way down into the lava pit and bring it up. The pumps keep everything moving, and the pipes tie it all together. Simple, reliable, and of course, probably not enough tanks, because I always underestimate storage. So while yeah, the cannon's been throwing up walls and a roof behind me, I've been collecting the guts, the veins, and the arteries of the power station. Steam engines, bottlers, frog ports, gauges, pumps, and pipes, it's all here. Once we put it all together, this building is gonna be not gonna be an empty shell anymore, and be the start of the beating heart of the village. Basically, the cannon built the body, and I've just finished the organs. Kinda gross metaphor, but you get the idea. Now let's get this monster together. Well, here it is, the power station, fully built. 4 massive bays ready to hold 4 level 9 boilers. This is going to be the beating heart of the village. 2 of those boilers are ready to be fired up today. But we've got space for expansion. Honestly, this place feels like overkill already, and that's exactly how I like it. Inside here, we've got everything we need. Steam engines, pumps, pipes, hose pulley, tanks, bottlers, fluid mechanisms, gauges, you name it. Even frog ports and chain conveyors. Thanks to the Create Factory Logistics, basically, the plumbing dream team is ready to go. But there's still one thing missing. Blaze. The fire that makes the whole system work. And for that, we don't need blaze rods. We need the entire spawner. That means one thing. back to the nether, not to fight blazes, not to farm drops, but to capture their home and drag it here so we can put them to work feeding lava into these boilers bucket after bucket forever. So yeah, no blaze rods required, just the spawner itself. I'm basically out here giving a blaze internship program, except instead of coffee runs, they'll be doing lava runs. All right, time to gear up, get back to the fortress, and see if we can safely haul one of these bad boys into the overworld without turning myself into an extra crispy tie. Let's go. Well, 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 what do we have here? A bastion? Just sitting there, full of piglins, treasure, and probably my death if I go barring in there unprepared. On one hand, that's free loot calling my name. Gold blocks, piglin gear, maybe even some ancient debris hiding inside. And you all know I'm weak when it comes to shiny things. But on the other hand, we're on a mission. We didn't come here for a loot run. We came for blazes. Blaze spawners first, shiny loot later. If I go in now, I risk turning this episode into how to lose all your gear in under 2 minutes. So as much as I hate to say it, I think we're leaving this bastion for another day. We'll come back and we'll do, we're taking everything. Besides, the piglins don't know it yet. But they're just holding my stuff for me. Alright, everything relies on that to work, and it should now. There we go. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's one more over here, and I think I might want to snag that one too. Isn't there another one? Could have sworn when I flew in over here there was another one. Not right there. That's a hoglin I'm hearing over there. Don't want anything to do with you, sir. I do want to find this other blaze spawner that I did see earlier, though. It's right here. Thank you. Oh, I will yoink ya boy. And we will snag you. And we should just be able to yoink. Alright, there we go. Our nether trip is over. Let's get out of here. Now we gotta find our way home. This should be interesting. Alright, we're finally out of the nether, and that took way longer than I'd like to admit. I even had to stop and charge the jetpack with the kinetic battery in my jetpack. And let me tell you, that thing's slower than my internet. But hey, we made it back in one piece. And more importantly, with the blaze spawner in hand. And that means it's time for the real work. The station is already built. The shell is standing tall. And now we get to do the fun part. hooking up all that plumbing, firing up the boilers, and finally bringing this power station online. The villagers wanted infinite power, and after everything we just went through in the Nether, I think it's about time we deliver. Oh yeah, let's get this thing set up. All right, it's time. The power station is standing tall, and before we even think about installing the elevator permanently, we're sending the drills down to carve out a path to the infinite lava lake. Now here's the cool part. We're powering this whole contraption using the original windmill design from way back in the early game. Yeah, those scrappy sails that started this entire journey, they're now the backup power for the most ambitious build in this world so far. Not bad for some planks and wool, right? All I have to do is flip the rotational force on the windmills and boom, the rope pulley lowers 9 drills like a mining elevator of doom. So let's go ahead and get that set on up. Easiest way to do is you fly up and you place it like that. And then from there, you would just place blocks like this. And then I will install the rope pulley right here. And the only thing we are missing is a little bit of storage, which we need to run over here and grab from Daryl, because he is actually more organized now than the other guy downstairs. I forget his name already because I don't use him as much anymore. We need a barrel. There we go, because this actually shouldn't collect too many blocks. And then we're going to super glue this bad boy together. Oh, doesn't that just look fantastic? I really like the design. It took me a couple hours to build in creative to learn how the different palettes and stuff, and I really ended up liking the design. So we are going to go ahead and glue you together. And now we just need to change the rotational force on this guy from the windmills above. Using that rotational speed controller up here. We will come up here. I'm just going to shift and we are going to rotate it. And yep, that is super duper loud. And now we just gotta wait for that to go down to lava level. Alright. Now it's time for a super speed up version of this. Alright, we will see you soon. Alright, first up, the hose pulley. This block doesn't look like much, but it's basically the lifeline of the entire power station. Without it, nothing flows. And because the villagers wanted infinite lava, this thing is what's gonna make the dreams come true. It's like dropping a straw straight into the earth milkshake, except instead of chocolate or vanilla, it's just lava, you know, which is slightly more dangerous. In Create, the hose pulley is one of the simplest but most powerful ways to move fluids. Drop it down into the source, lava, water, whatever, and it'll slurp it up as long as there's somewhere for it to go. Now here's the kicker. Most players use this for water because it's safe. Lava, not so much. Normally you would need the Nether for that, but because of the way the world generated, I got a literal infinite lava reservoir hiding right underneath my feet. That's why this stuff is so important. This pulley is tapping into basically the forever battery for this world. Getting into place isn't too bad. You hook it up, power it up, and then you watch it slowly unwind down into the pit. Now here's the thing, if you misalign it, you get nothing. Or worse, you get a mess where it only pulls up a single source block and then it sputters like a busted straw and into an empty cup. So lining it up in the middle of the reservoir is critical, which is why if you see me fiddling around with it, no you didn't. That was totally planned. Honestly, this is one of the blocks that make me laugh about Create. On one end of the spectrum, I built 9 drill contraptions with pulleys and a backup windmill just to dig a hole. On the other, this one little hose pulley is doing all the work of 1,000 buckets, and the best part, it's infinite. No babysitting, no refilling, just a permanent straw into the earth's core. The villagers are probably watching me right now like, finally, this guy is figuring it out. And also, let's be real, if this hose ever broke, my entire power station is basically a ticking time bomb. but that's a problem for future time. Now, with the hose pulleys happily slurping lava from the depths, now we gotta figure out a way to move it across the station. And sure, I could have gone with the classic pipes everywhere, pumps every few blocks, spouts and arms juggling buckets, but let's be honest, that's messy, it's slow, and it's a headache to maintain. Enter the new hotness, chain conveyors and bottlers. This is a part of the newer Create Factory Logistics add-on, and I've got to say, it's a game changer. Instead of piping lava around like a normal person, this lets me literally bottle it up in the jars and ship it across on conveyor chains. The bottlers take in lava, packages it in neatly in the jars, and sends it off like it's ready to be stocked on some grocery store shelf. Then, when the jar gets used, poof, gone. No mess, no waste, no refills. It's just free packaging. And yeah, the jars vanish when they're used, which makes no sense in the real world. But in Create, that's just another layer of magic that keeps this system stupidly efficient. Getting the conveyors down were surprisingly simple. You snap them together with a couple chains, you place them, boom, 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 they're done. They don't need constant fiddling like the belts. And honestly, they look cooler too. There's just something about watching glowing jars of lava gliding across the conveyor line like it's a factory assembly of doom. The hardest part was getting everything aligned so that the jars end up exactly where I needed them. Because if you're off even by a block, suddenly the system thinks you're sending the lava off into the corner of the room instead of into a boiler. Ask me how I know. Spoiler, I had to redo it once. In creative. Alright, okay. This is where it kind of gets ridiculous solution I love about Create. Lava on conveyor chains. It makes no sense at all, but it's brilliant. If I were to use a vanilla mechanic, I'd be standing here filling buckets manually, making trips back and forth like a medieval water boy. But now, my factory's literally has a lava room service. The villagers are probably gonna think I'm some kind of wizard when they see this setup. Jars of molten rock sliding around the floor, disappearing in the burners. Meanwhile, I'm standing here like, yeah, it's fine. Honestly, it's one of those moments where Create makes Minecraft feel like Factorio in disguise, and I'm here for it. So with the hose pulley feeding the lava in the bottlers, plus conveyors handling the transport, now we have a clean, efficient system that gets fuel exactly where I need it. No babysitting required. Next up, we need water, because even the hottest boilers in the world don't run on lava alone. Now, the boilers just don't run on lava, they also need water. And sure, I could have just plopped down a cookies for Blackhead sink and called it a day. But come on, where's the fun in that? Instead, we're going with something a little bit more aesthetic. I dug out a proper reservoir right next to the power station, piped it in, and set it up as an infinite source of water. Functionality, it's no different than a sink, but visually, it gives me something to purify later, and it makes the station feel like it's really tied into the landscape. Plus, it just looks cooler seeing pipes sucking out water of the actual pond instead of a kitchen faucet. So yeah, this is overkill. But that's kind of the whole point of this world. If I'm going to build it once, I want to build it in a way that makes it look like it belongs here. And let's be real, telling people my entire station is fueled by a sink just doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? Alright, this is where the magic happens. We got lava flowing in from below, bottled up and shipped across the station. We've got water pumping in from the reservoir, and now it's time to assemble the guts of this entire system. The blaze burners, the mechanical arms that feed them, the storage tanks, and finally the boilers themselves. This is the part that's going to take the entire station from cool building to industrial powerhouse. Let's start with the blaze burners. These little guys are basically angry toasters with a taste for lava. They're the heat source of the entire setup. Without them, the boilers are just empty metal shells. The villagers didn't want power, they want infinite fire, and this is it. Now, the thing about blaze burners is that they're hungry. They need fuel constantly, miss refill in your power tanks faster than my FPS when I forgot to turn shaders off. That's why automation here isn't optional. It's critical. Enter the arms. Mechanical arms in Create are hilarious. They're supposed to be simple. Pick up from here, drop off there, but in practice, they're picky little machines. You have to have setups, inputs, output filters, and if you don't, suddenly your arm decides it's best to use its time sparingly to stare into space while the burners go cold. Get them to grab jars off the conveyors and feed the burners like some trial of air. At one point, I had the arm just spinning in circles, like it was on strike. Another time, I decided to put jars back on the conveyor instead of into the burner. Thanks, buddy. Real helpful. But once you get them all lined up, chef's kiss. Smooth as butter, arms picking up jars, burner drawing to life, and for once, I'm not stuck playing delivery boy. Of course, we just can't run this thing without a buffer. That's where the tanks come in. Stacking tanks on top of us, cushion, so you have a hose pulley, a conveyor hookup. We got the resort. It's the difference between smooth industrial power and a sudden blackout. Get them placed straightforward, except for when they're lined up for the first time. Yep, I have to tear everything down in the entire building black by one block. Again, at this point, I think it's a running gag. The Jimmy is going to build the entire triangle, all the wasted blocks from one block mistake. And now, the big moment. With arms feeding burners and destroying lava, we can finally install the boilers. This is where all those moving parts come together, hook them up, plumbing in water, and light the burners. The first time these boilers were like, oh man, it's beautiful. Gauges upwards, stress units climbing, pipes rattling, the whole system coming alive. We're producing nearly 300,000 stress units on a single system. That's ridiculous. Jump from the 3 scrappy windmills at the power of our starter base. For context, those windmills were barely enough to run a handle full of mixers and presses. This could run factories, multiple factories, and we've only filled half the station with stress. There's still room for 2 level 9 boilers in here, which means we're not even at the capacity yet. Terrifying, right? So yeah, from blaze burners to tanks to the boilers, the station is finally online. It's hot, it's loud, it's working. The villagers got their wish, infinite power. I got my bragging rights, and the windmills, they finally have to step back into well-deserved retirement, or maybe a backup generator role. Honestly, I think they're relieved. In me, I'm just glad the arms are cooperating for once. If they decide to unionize like the windmills, I'm in trouble. And there it is, the boilers online, the arms working, the tanks full, and the entire station roaring like a beast. We've officially leveled up from 3 squeaky windmills turning on my starter roof to nearly 300,000 stress units pouring out of this lava-fueled powerhouse. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Those windmills carried us to the early days, powered the presses, the mixers, even the first factory setups. They were the backbone of this whole world, and now they're basically retired the backup duty. Same sales, same design, but instead of being the hero, they're the safety net. I think they're grateful, honestly. They don't have to pull all-nighters anymore. But raw power isn't everything. If I just dump all this stress into one system, it's like plugging every appliance in your house into a single outlet. Something's gonna catch fire, and with how many machines we've already slammed into this world, that's not just a maybe, that's a guarantee. So the next step isn't more power, it's smarter power. We are going to break this massive output into clean controlled slices using 4 stress pylons. Each one will act like its own power vector, feeding different districts of the village, workshops, storages, farms, factories, all on separate grids so no one system can tank the rest. And this is where one of my favorite add-ons come in, Create Kinetic Bridge. Sorry, I can't talk today. This little tool is basically a stress budgeting for Minecraft. It lets me allocate how much power goes into each line, balance the load, and keep the whole system stable. No more brownouts, no more meltdowns, just smooth, predictable power. We are basically turning Create into SimCity Power Grid Edition. And trust me, after the chaos we've already caused, this base could use a little bit more map and a little less smoke, if you know what I mean. Let's get building. So here's the deal. The windmills can still handle the workshop just fine. They've been reliable, they've been efficient, and honestly, they don't need replacing just yet. But we're not building the pylons just for today. We're building them for tomorrow too. These pylons are junction boxes for the future power grid. They let me branch off stress off of the main conveyor line whenever I need it. So even if some of them are sitting idle for a while, they're ready the second I want to plug in something big. Think of like this. You don't build a house and then wait until you need an outlet in the living room to wire it. You put the outlets in ahead of time so you can plug in a lamp, a TV, or whatever else. That's exactly what these pylons are, stress outlets. The chain conveyors are my power lines, and the pylons are the point where I can branch the grid in a clean, controlled way. That means when I decide to add a new farm, a factory, or a crazy contraption in the future, I won't have to tear apart the station to hook it up. I'll just connect it to a pylon and flip the switch. And here's the kicker. With Create Connected's Kinetic Bridge, these pylons don't just split power. They let me control it. I can dial in how much stress flows through each branch. So even if a pylon is sitting idle today, it's wired up to be balanced tomorrow. This way, I don't need to know exactly where every watt of stress is going right now. I just need to know that when I'm ready, the infrastructure is there. It's smarter to spend a little time future-proofing than spending hours tearing down and rebuilding when I decide the base needs a quarry factory or a mega sifter line. Yeah, not hinting at anything in the future there. And I'll be real with you, it looks cool. Chain conveyors running across the base, like power lines, pylons standing tall like transformers. It makes the whole village feel alive. Even if half of them aren't powering anything, the vibe is there. The villagers don't even know what electricity is, but I guarantee you they're about to start asking me for monthly bills. I should print them out and just sell the aesthetic. First Minecraft Power Company, patent pending, besides Beardy Powder Co. Yeah, that's on Just Create. This is tinkering with Create. So yeah, right now the windmills are still carrying the workshop. That's fine, but the pylons aren't about today, they're about tomorrow. This is the start of our proper power grid. And when the time comes to add new contraptions, I'll be ready. The pylons are in place, the junctions are wired, and the village is one step closer to becoming an industrial powerhouse. All right, with the power grid in place, the next thing on the villagers' wish list, and honestly mine too, is a proper elevator. Up until now, we've been climbing stairs, jumping down ladders, or in my case, occasionally forgetting I don't have creative mode and face planting at the bottom. Not exactly OSHA approved, so today we're building our very first Create elevator, smooth, functional, and way cooler than taking the stairs. In Create, elevators are surprisingly simple thanks to the elevator block. You hook it up, give it a platform, you connect it with some power, a redstone link. I forget the exact name off the top of my head. I apologize. I may edit it in. I don't know if I will or not, to be honest. And that's it. None of the headache of trying to wire redstone up the pistons or slime blocks. It's literally place block, add platform, ride in style. And for me, the coolest part is that it actually feels like an elevator. Press a button, it glides up and down, nice and smooth. It's one of those quality of life builds that makes sense and makes the base feel alive. Now, just because it's functional doesn't mean we can't add some flair. The platform has to be sturdy because this thing's going to be running constantly. I built it out of a clean industrial style solid blocks, reinforced edges, and just enough space so you don't feel cramped. And down at the bottom, I made sure to add a proper landing platform because the last thing I want is an elevator that drops you straight in the lava. The villagers already think I'm reckless enough. I also don't need to prove them right. And soon the moment of truth will be here. Let's see if this will work. We gotta put a roof on this thing, hook up this. If I can place it correctly. All right. Place all this stuff in. Do you like the design? I went with some scoria. Put in an andesite door, andesite rail, copper railing, a control box. And then afterwards we flew down to the very bottom of the world and placed exactly where I needed this redstone contact link to be. That's what it is. It's a redstone contact. And then from there we made some lanterns. And then put one in here. And now to connect this all together. And now, moment of truth. See if it works. No bouncing, no jittering. Next, glide up to the floor. I have to admit, this feels like I'm cheating compared to running up and down stairs all episode. At this point, the villagers are going to be spoiled. They're never going to be climbing a ladder again. Meanwhile, I'm happy I won't be sprinting up and down like I'm late for class. And next, a safety platform. I decided to add this on. Very quick and simple. A small circle with some industrial iron catwalks. We added some beams, some stairs, and some lanterns and barrels. So yes, this was a quick and efficient build before we got into our next project, which was terraforming. All right, elevators done and platform at the very bottom complete. And everything is working beautifully. But let's be honest, right now this whole station looks like it's floating on Minecraft magic. And if the villagers are going to take me seriously as their new power company, I probably shouldn't have a building that looks like it's about to collapse into lava. So next up, it's time for some terraforming. Let's shape the land, building it up, and giving this power station some proper foundation. Roll the time lapse. Okay, so apparently pillagers didn't get the memo that this was supposed to be a chill terraforming session. 1 second, I'm shaping a hillside. Next second, a raid party comes roaring in like they own the place. But hey, you saw it. They came, they shot, they missed a lot. And now they're gone. Honestly, I can't believe I caught that all on replay. Talk about perfect timing. So yeah, unexpected raid battle handled. Back to what we're actually here for. Making sure this massive power plant, or power station, I should say, doesn't look like it's about to collapse into lava. Let's wrap up this terraforming and give this place some proper foundation. We are nearly there. And that's a wrap for today's episode. We've done a lot. The power station is online and pumping out nearly 300,000 stress units. We've set up stress pylons to divide up and manage all that energy, built my very first crate elevator, and even carved out a safe platform down at the lava pit. Plus, we gave the whole building some much needed terraforming, so it doesn't look like it's floating on Minecraft magic. Oh, and let's not forget the pillager raid that tried to crash the party. Nice try, guys. Better luck next time. From here, the real fun begins. With this much power on tap, the village is ready to expand into full-scale factories, smarter automation, and even crazier contraptions. Episode 6 is all about putting this power to work, and I promise things are only going to get bigger from here. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss what comes next. The mod pack Tinkering with Crate is available on CurseForge, linked in the description below. And come hang out in the Discord. I'd love to hear your ideas, and yes, I'm still looking for a name for this village. That's all from me for episode 5. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time, where we turn raw power into pure chaos. Stay creative till then. Bye-bye.